We appreciate you joining us on Combine Week in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, come to you from the studios they provide that are one of one, second to none. Our special guest today, Bengals wide receiver coach Troy Walters. Combine's in Indianapolis. He was a great player for the Indianapolis Colts. Just ask Peyton Manning. He'll tell you all about it. He's a phenomenal coach. The thing about Troy Walters is he cares about his players as people as well as players. He is going to develop and advance them as football players, but he also is going to make them better people. That is paramount in his mind. And boy, do his players love and respect him. And he feels the same way about them. It is truly a football family. He talks about that. He talks about how great his players are. The numbers that they put up last year at the receiver position were outlandish. Then he also talks about free agency, talks about the combine, and will there be any additional players at the receiver position? Who knows at this point in time, but he's doing the research, he's doing the homework. Troy Walters is a guy that could be a success in anything he decided to do. He's one of those kind of guys. Bengals are very, very fortunate to have him as their wide receiver coach. And at some point in time, very shortly, there'll be a coordinator, a head coach, whether it's at the collegiate or the professional level. This guy's special. We know there's tons of things you could be doing with your time. Your time is valuable. So when you give us some of it, we greatly appreciate it. And thanks for joining us in the Trenches with Dave Lapham. Brought to you by First Star Logistics and Studio. As good as it gets, second to none. They provide the tools for us to try to do a good job. And it's easy to do a good job when you have guests like this gentleman. I'm talking about one of the stars, rising stars in the National Football League. He's been in the National Football League a while, and he's done an unbelievable job. Bengals wide receiver coach. He was a great player with the Indianapolis Colts. He's a tremendous football coach. He builds a culture that his players develop. They grow and they develop, not just as players. They grow and develop as human beings. I'm talking about none other than Bengals wide receivers coach Troy Walters. Coach, appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
So you're in your hotel room in Indianapolis at the Combine. You played there. What was it like to play in Indianapolis, Coach?
Special place. And the time when I played with Peyton and Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harris, and all those guys, and we were successful. There was great energy, great buzz. So it was just an awesome time. The city is a great city. Not too big, but enough to do, and they really get behind their Colts and really get behind all sports. And it's been a good turnout here at the Combine, and you'll see a lot of fans and people come to watch the future of the NFL.
I'm sure you probably get a lot of requests or a lot of questions asked to you about, okay, what's a good place to go eat? What's a good place to go relax? Have an adult beverage, maybe to unwind a little bit, because you played in Indianapolis and you played so well, and you know that city. I mean, are you almost like a tour guide there at the Combine?
The thing about it is, the Combine's been here for so long that all these coaches, they've been here. This is an annual thing, so
sure.
They pretty much have their places to go and things to do. It's really, the Combine has become a coaches convention, an NFL coaches convention. You come and obviously you're going to get to know the draft, prospective draft prospects, but it's also a good chance to catch up with your fellow coaches and there's a lot of relationships here that we've missed, and it's good just to catch up and be around your peers.
Coach, I know you're a man of God, and I know you're a family man, married with 4 children, and you had your 11-year-old son with you in Indianapolis for a game, a Pacers game before the Combine. Man, that's making memories that'll last forever. Tell us about how you worked that out and where you guys ended up sitting to observe that basketball game, I should say.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. Justin Rascotti, he knows one of the assistant coaches for the Pacers, and so he connected us, and so I took my son down there Monday afternoon, and he got us back courtside passes. So we went down there early. Was able to participate in pregame shoot around. My son was able to pass the ball to Tyrese Halliburton and Obi Toppin, and we took pictures. They were playing the Denver Nuggets, so we took pictures of Jokic and all those guys, Jamal Murray, and just a tremendous experience. Mike Weiner is the assistant coach for the Pacers. Shout out to him. He took us on a tour of the facility, the practice facility, saw the weight room.
Wow.
Gave us a bag full of Pacers gear. So awesome experience that my son and myself will never forget, and truly a awesome time.
Man, I'll tell you, watching those guys, you talk about athletes. I mean, the size of those guys and the things that they can do athletically. I'm telling you, man, every time I watch an NBA game, and watching on TV is one thing, but in person, up close like you guys were, that's like, whew. I had the pleasure of doing that one time in Boston, a Celtics game, and I'm like, man, these guys are freakish, man. It's unbelievable the things they can do at that size, really.
Yeah, they're amazing athletes. If you think about it, T. Higgins is a big wide receiver for NFL standards, and you put him on a basketball court, and he's probably going to be one of the smaller guys out there. And so those guys are tremendous athletes, phenomenal how they play, the footwork, the athleticism. It truly is special once you see them up close in person.
Did you see a few guys that might be able to play the wide receiver position in the National Football League, Coach, talent-wise?
Yeah, I did. In fact, the assistant coach last night sent me a clip of Obi Toppin chasing down a loose ball and putting it up, and I said, man, that could be a good receiver. I could use him as a number 4 or 5 receiver. So he laughed, but they're tremendous athletes. They really are.
Speaking of number 4 or 5 receiver, I mean, the wide receiver group, there's 49 receivers at the combine. Hopefully, we're not looking for a guy that would be a number 1 or number 2 or receiver or whatever. Maybe you're looking for a 4 or 5 type receiver of that group. And I know it's way early. It's very early, but do you already see a handful of guys that might fit that role for you?
Yeah, I've tried to watch all the receivers that are here at the combine and get a first impression of what they can do, their skill set. I think it's a talented group of guys, and I look forward to going out, being on the field Saturday, and really watching them run around and move up close and see what they can do. The last few days we've been having interviews with the guys just to get to know them, ask them questions, sit down with them, and that's been good just to really understand the person and get to know a guy. And so I'm excited about this class, and as we'll keep going and really seeing what we need going into this season.
So you mentioned, Coach, you have an opportunity to sit down with them. I mean, the combine has turned into, because really some guys' the regular season ends around Thanksgiving. Other guys, if they get all the way in the college football playoffs, the national championship game, I mean, it's like, 4 weeks later, it seems like, I mean, some guys have had 7 weeks off. Some guys have only had 3 weeks off. So it matters in that regard, but then guys decide they're not going to work out anywhere. They're going to wait till their pro days. Is it more so, is the combine, like you said, it's a coach's gathering? Is it more so with the players getting a FaceTime with them face-to-face, shaking their hand, finding out what kind of person they are, seeing what kind of a learner they are, and that type of thing?
Yeah, it's first impression. So, you only have 15 minutes to interview these guys, so it's not a lot of time. So, I'm just trying to get to know them, get to know their background, get to know their why, what's important to them, and just see from a first impressions if it's a good fit or not. And then you'll have the workouts on the field, and then we'll have a chance to Zoom with them after the draft. And that's when it's more X's and O's, and I'll present them with a quick install and see what they can recall and remember. And then we'll also have the opportunity to go to their pro days where you can spend some more time with them before the pro day. And then I like to take the guys and put them through my own individual kind of workout where I can see different things, different movement skills, And so it's a little different. So you take all those into consideration, and then by then you pretty much know who's a good fit and who you want.
I love watching you. I bet your workout with these players is real interesting because you can do everything you're asking them to do. I watch you at training camp and you're running the routes with your wideouts, man. I mean, you're right in there with them. And the credibility, the instantaneous credibility of that has to be impactful because it's like, coach played in the league, but coach can still go, man. Coach can still do this stuff. I mean, I bet when you work a young guy out and you're running routes equally well to what he's able to do, that makes an impression on some of these kids.
Yeah, I think it does. I just like to be in the mix with them. I cherish my time as a player. It was a great time, and anytime I can put the cleats on or run around with the guys, I want to do that because it's to be a player, to be a coach, just to be around this game. It's special, and as much as I can do to connect with the guys, then that's what I want to do. So I enjoy every minute of it, and truly blessed to be a part of this game.
Man, all you have to do is hold on to this information and this quote from Peyton Manning talking about you as a wide receiver, how important you were to the Indianapolis Colts success and what he thought about you as a wide receiver, and just hand out a one-sheeter to your players, when they first come in. Yeah, I played with Peyton Manning. Here's what he thought about my game. I mean, you talk about some cred, man. I'll tell you what, you guys, your offense was something to behold. There's no question. I mean, Peyton was special, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Demanded the best out of everyone, detailed, knew exactly what the defense was going to do, always, took meticulous notes and was always prepared. That was the thing I took away from Peyton, was just his preparation, and nothing ever surprised him. And he was always ready to have an answer to whatever the defense did. And he made everyone around him better. He elevated everyone, and that to me, that's a special player. When you can get the guys around you to elevate their game, you're pretty special.
I mentioned the culture that you build, and that's special. Talk about special, man. That's special to watch. How your players feel about each other at the receiver position, how you feel about them, how they feel about you. The relationships at every level are just phenomenal. I mean, it's a brotherhood. It really is. And that not just on the football field, in the locker room, in the cafeteria, away from Paycor Stadium. You guys are close. And to me, the fact that you have an incredible player who just won the Triple Crown, and he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback. That's already been stated by management in NFL history in Jamar Chase. And the numbers he put up are unreal. 127 catches, 1,708 yards, 17 touchdowns, averaged over 100 yards a game. One of 5 guys since 1970 to win the Triple Crown. We're talking like Cooper Kupp, Sterling Sharp, Steve Smith, Jerry Rice. I mean, and then 73 more catches, 911 yards, 10 touchdowns. 200 catches, over 2,600 yards, 27 touchdown catches between 2 guys. And when I watch you guys do your thing as a group, to me, it's like, okay, and the organization, I'm sure, wants to keep both. And I would think the players want to stay together because they are so close. They're so close with you, Joe Burrow. I mean, this dynamic that you have going on, not just the quarterback, which is vitally important, but the way you do everything, you're not going to find it any better in the National Football League. And I think they feel that.
Yeah, I try to promote a family environment. We are family. We go to work every day. We're around each other so much that I wanted to be a family. And those guys have bought in, and it really is a brotherhood. When one guy succeeds, we all succeed. When one guy fails, we all fail. There's no envy. There's no jealousy. The guys buy in. They come together. They hang out together. I encourage that, hanging out together, off the field. In the cafeteria, we'll eat together. We'll play ping pong. Just activities. The more we can be around each other, the better. And it does feel like a family. T and Jamar and all the receivers, Andre, they feel like sons, you know, I just, whatever role I can play to help them be the best version of themselves, that's my job. It's not for me to get any credit, any glory. It's for them to reach their potential, to play at the highest level, to be great players, to be great people. And so whatever I can do to help and aid in that, then that's my job. And if I can do that, then I feel like then I've been successful. And you know, with T and Jamar, they're just great people. They really are tight. They really are brothers. And so you know, I know that T wants to stay. Jamar wants him around. You know, they have a great relationship with Joe. And so, you know, I'm hopeful that everything's going to work out, and I'll be able to spend another couple years with those guys and continue to get better. You know, as great as the season that they had individually, there's room for improvement. And that's what I'm going to harp with them on, and make sure that they understand that there's room, and we got to get back to work. What you did last year doesn't mean anything for this year. And so we've got to try to be better than we were last year.
Yeah, ping pong, man. See some of those ping pong battles that go. That's competitive, man. That's raging now. No, these guys don't want to lose in anything. You know how it is, Coach. I mean, they are unbelievably competitive. But when I watch them, the thing that I admire everything about what you guys do, but as a former lineman, I admire how much importance you put on the blocking aspect of it, because you were a hell of a blocker. I mean, just throw on tape. Troy Walters is digging people out, man. He's putting his nose right in the chest of people and getting it done. And that's something that Peyton Manning referenced, how, you know, physical and how you handle business on the perimeter and everything. The interview that I heard him when he was talking about you, your players. I mean, they're superstars. Jamar's a superstar. He's working his tail off blocking people. T. Higgins working his tail off. Yossi. I mean, all your guys block. I mean, that's a requisite, isn't it? If you're going to play, you're going to block.
It is. To me, it's about being selfless and being a team player and putting the team above self. And part of that is making sure that we're doing our job on the perimeter. Yes, you know, you get paid to catch passes and score touchdowns, but in order for this offense to really be explosive, especially in the run game, the receivers have to get after it. And we're the line they do what they have to do. But if the receivers are getting after it down the field, that's where those explosive 50-yard, 60-yard runs occur, because the receivers are getting after it. And we know with Chase Brown that, you know, he can take any carry to the house. And so we got to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And this offense requires receivers to go down and dig out safeties and crack linebackers and do some of the dirty work. And ever since I got here, and I've emphasized that, and the guys that we draft, they've got to be able to block. If you can't block, you're not physical, then you're not gonna see the field as much as you want to. And T's bought in, Jamar, Andre, you know, those guys have done a great job, and we got to continue to do so.
You mentioned Yossi. His numbers: 36 catches, 470 yards, 79 yards, 6 touchdowns, all of them in the red zone. I mean, he is a red zone target extraordinaire because of his size, his strength, his abilities to get in and out of cuts and get separation and do all that sort of thing. I really respect his field awareness and sideline awareness and presence. I mean, he taps, you know, kind of almost as well as anybody. Mm-hmm. He's a player that's growing, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought he had a great year. You know, I know the numbers may not show that, but to be honest, if you think about our offense, he was never the top 3 target. You know, you're trying to get the ball to Jamar, you're trying to get the ball to T, you're trying to get the ball to Chase Brown, you're trying to get the ball to Mike Gesicki. You know, and so Andre was really, you know, the 5th, 6th option. And so
right.
I thought he did a great job when his number was called of making plays. And you never know when it was going to be, you know, and so, you know, he did a great job. He was probably our best blocker. You know, we asked him to motion and go dig out a safety or crack a linebacker or block a defensive end. He was the guy that we put in charge of doing that. And I thought he did a good job. And so he continues to get better, you know, from his rookie year to his second year. He made a tremendous leap, a tremendous jump. He's a solid number 3 receiver. And I just expect him to continue to get better. He puts the work in the offseason, and I expect him to get better this year than he was last year, and he'll make more plays. He'll have more opportunities, and very proud of where he's come.
When you're going through the interview process, Coach, not just at the combine, but at pro days and all those sort of things, when you get the time to spend with them and get them on the board, the chalk talk and all that sort of thing, you have done an incredible job in determining a football IQ, because a big reason Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown is you can line him up anywhere and he'll motion anywhere. He can be anywhere in the football field and then appear somewhere else. And it's really hard for defenses to, he's there, we're going to double that spot. I mean, that's a big factor in how he's able to make himself available so often to Joe Burrow. The mental part of it, and that's demanding. T can do the same thing. T lines up in a bunch of different places. Yossi can line up in a bunch of different places. Is that a big part of your evaluation process? Not just the physical aspect of it, but how much can they absorb and how much can I utilize their position versatility on game day?
It's huge. It's huge. We're going to look at physical traits and how fast and how well they ball skills and all that, but also the FBI, football intelligence, is important, because we want guys that can play multiple positions. I always tell the guys, the more you can do, the better. The more you can do, the longer you're going to play in the NFL. If you're just a one-dimensional guy, your career in the NFL is not going to be long. So the more you can do, the better. And we want guys to be able to play outside, inside. When we move Jamar around, then Yoshi's got to know how to play Jamar's position. If we move Jamar to T, so the guys that play in this offense are guys that have good FBI, that can move around, they can play different positions, they can they understand the scheme, the concept, they understand coverages. And so Jamar, speaking of Jamar, he's done a great job of just every year growing more and more in terms of his intelligence, understanding defenses, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to take away. He's grown understanding this offense. Even though he held out for much of all the training camp, he was always present in the meetings, on the field. So he really never lost his focus on the offense, on the scheme, what we're trying to do. And
right.
He's grown in that aspect, and we'll continue to find ways to get him the ball and move guys around. And so we definitely look for guys that have high football intelligence, high football IQ, and they fit well in what we're trying to do.
Everybody wants to know what's going on with Jermaine Burton, Coach. He's got all kinds of physical potential, all kinds of physical ability. He's had some problems off the football field that may have been a factor, obviously, in his development on the football field. I know you're a guy that is in contact with your players. You have a relationship, like we talked about, a very strong relationship with your players. What's the latest with respect to Jermaine Burton and what he's doing?
Yeah, I talked to Jermaine, try to talk to him, once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to see how he's doing. In the off season, guys have a lot of time on their hands, so just want to make sure guys are in the right space and doing well. And so I've talked to him, and I know he's had some issues with his evictions and all that, and so just make sure that he's found a home, found a place to live. I talked to him about every mistake that you make is an opportunity to learn from it and grow. And he knows he's got some growing up to do, some maturing to do. And, we haven't given up on him, but, he's got to make the decision himself that, he wants it more than we want it for him. And so that's what I keep preaching to him. And he knows we're on his team, we're on his side. We want him to do well. And so, when we get back, when the players get back in March and April, then he'll come back and hit the weight room and get on the field, and because he's so talented. And another thing is he had high expectations. We drafted him in the 3rd round. There's all this talk of number 3 receiver, high expectation, and so the season didn't go as well as he wanted, and he didn't handle it the right way. And so again, that's learning, that's growing up, that's maturing. He understands that. And so hopefully we get, we see that growth and that maturity, and he's able to help us next year on the football field. And, I preach to him and stress that, you don't want to be that guy that wasted all the talent. you're on the street because you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and now you're on the outside looking in. And so, he wants to be great, and it's just the proper way to go about doing that. And so, I'm hopeful that he's learned from his mistakes and he can grow and help and contribute in 2025.
You mentioned, the football family aspect. You're a family man, obviously, a tremendous father and husband. The football family part of it. You mentioned that these players are like your sons, and here's one of your sons that if he looks at you as a father figure and somebody that can really mold his football career. I mean, he's got some. He couldn't find anybody that would care about him as a person, first and foremost, and as a football player after that, than you. And he's got great role models too. I mean, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, he's got people that every single day, when he's associating with these guys in the classroom, on the field, in the cafe, wherever. I mean, he's got tremendous role models. It really is a good situation for him, and hopefully it works out. Because, like you said, Coach, the dude has got some talent, doesn't he?
He does. That's why we drafted him, and we knew there were some issues, and there was going to be some growing up and some maturing to do, and so hopefully that was just a year one, just getting them acclimated to the NFL, but he knows that the rope is short. Like, he doesn't have many more opportunities to screw up before he's looking for another job. And so hopefully, again, like I said, we're going to do everything we can to help him and to bring him along so that he's not only a productive player on the field, but also he's a good person, good man. He's going to be a father, he's going to be a husband one day, and so he's got to grow up and continue to develop so that he can be all that he can be.
You mentioned Mike Gesicki. You mentioned Chase Brown. I've seen you working with these guys, with routes, with catching the football. I mean, Chase Brown has come light years. I mean, in terms of running routes and catching the football, and you're a big part of that as well. I mean, you are the passing game guy, and those guys speak highly of you as well. How much pride do you take in their development?
Yeah, well, they see what I do with the receivers, and they jump in. They come over, and maybe before practice, and Jamar or Chase and Andre, they're buddies, and they're tight, and so they're usually the first ones on the field, and they've got a great routine that they go through, and Chase understands that if he can elevate his role as a receiver and expand his game as a receiver, that's only going to make him better. And then the tight ends, I know James Casey does a great job with those guys, and they'll come over pre-practice and maybe jump into receiver drills, footwork, because they have so much to do once practice starts. They're receivers, they're O-linemen, they got to pass protect, they've got to run block, they've got to run routes, and so a lot of times you don't have time to do all that. So they may get some route running work before practice, top of the route stuff, and those guys work hard. That's the one thing Zach's built, is a culture of guys that really want to work hard and get out on the field early, put the work in, put the effort in, so that they can maximize their game.
So we mentioned 49 wide receivers. Travis Hunter, how is he classified at the combine? Is he classified as a defensive back, as a wide receiver, or is he in a special category? How would he be classified at the combine?
Right now, he's a DB.
Yeah.
He's on the DB list. He's not on the receiver list. So
yeah.
I'm assuming he's going to work out as a DB at the combine. But I imagine at his pro day, then he'll probably run some routes and do some receiver work, and probably do both, because he's a special talent, and he can play both ways on both sides of the ball.
Do you see a legitimate role for him as a potential receiver in the league, as well as, do you think a guy can play both ways? Deion Sanders obviously did it, but I don't know about the number of snaps that they're potentially talking about Travis Hunter playing at wide receiver and defensive back. Do you think that's feasible?
I think it'd be tough to do what he did and replicate what he did at Colorado, to play every snap both ways. It's just, you're going to get too tired, and you're going against the elite athletes. I know if we have a DB that we're going against, and he's playing receiver in any, in the series we get the ball, he's over on defense, I'm gonna be licking my chops because he's gonna be worn down a little bit, and it takes so much. Again, you're in the NFL, you're going up against elite athletes. It takes so much effort and energy just to focus on, if you're a receiver, getting open against the top corners. If you're a corner, to cover Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, snap in and snap out. That's a lot of work, and you got to have focus, and so it'll be tough. But I think he could definitely, you could sprinkle him in at receiver at times, or DB at times. But to play both ways to the extent that he did in college would be tough.
This draft, I guess the overall summation of the draft is maybe not necessarily first ballot Hall of Fame superstar players, all throughout that first round, but there were really good players. But rounds 2 through 4 or 5, a lot of good football players, man. Do the receivers fall into that category as well? There may not be like, this dominant guy, but there's a lot of good players that might be able to help a football team.
Yeah. It's not top heavy. I don't know in terms of just elite receivers right now coming out, but I think there are a lot of, like you said, a lot of good receivers, different flavors. So depending on what you need, what you're looking for, I think they have it. The receiver in this class, they have what you're looking for. So yeah, it's all dependent on the team and what they're looking for. But I think there's some really good, solid football players that have room to grow. So I'm not saying, right now they're not going to be any elite receivers coming out of this draft. I think a lot of these receivers have room to grow into that elite number 1, number 2 receivers. Just coming out right now, they may not be exactly that number 1 guy, but a lot of good players. And I look forward to really getting on the field Saturday with these guys and seeing them up close and seeing what they can do, and kind of seeing which ones fit for what we're trying to do.
Coach, when you're interviewing players, and like you said, in the combine, it's a 15-minute interview, but then pro days, and you can make campus visits and all that sort of thing. When you're talking to a player, because like you said, you want to find out not only their football acumen, but what kind of person, what kind of human being they are. How do you divide that up? And I don't expect it necessarily 50-50, whatever the percentage is, but do you do a deep dive into both areas equally?
Yeah, you do. You do. You try to learn who they are as people, background, family, who's important, who's their rock, who's their support system. I even ask them about adversity. What adversity have you faced, and who do you go to? How do you get through adversity? Because you're gonna have adverse times in the NFL, and just want to know how they persevere, what type of character they have, and so the off the field stuff matters. The character matters. Definitely gonna talk to strength coaches, their position coach, head coach, to get as much information as we can. And then, you're going to balance that with just their football IQ, what they can do, what their knowledge of football and the routes and coverages and all that, because you got to be smart to play in the NFL. You got to have great instincts, great football IQ to be able to make it in this league. So you try to just ask the questions to get to know guys, and just try to find out who they are, both on and off the field.
And Coach, a lot of changes on the defensive side of the staff, the coaching staff, but then also a new offensive line coach, Coach Peters. You guys have had a lot of staff meetings as well, and you're having more in Indianapolis. How has it gone? How impressive is he in the meetings? Is he going to bring a lot to the table for you guys?
Yeah, hadn't had too many, staff meetings per se. We're really focused on this draft and in the draft class. So we've kind of been in our own offices getting ready for the combine. But just talking to him, I'm super excited with Scott and Mike and what they can do, the technique they can bring. And I trust Zach. I know that he's going to hire the best coaches, the best men, the guys that can get our guys to perform at high levels. They fit in with the staff. Again, no egos. It doesn't care who gets the credit. We all work together. It's a good fit, and so I'm excited to watch them get to work and develop these the O-line, and again, at all positions we can be better. on offense and on defense and special teams. And so that's the task that us as coaches we have, and I look forward to working with those guys even more.
I look forward to watching this offense, Coach. This football team is incredible, the way they can throw the football. And the thing that impresses me every single game, I'll see it more than once, Joe Burrow and Jamar, Andre, whoever it may be, Gesicki, it's like they're seeing the game through the same lens. You know, they're on the same page. It's like Joe totally has 100% faith that they're going to be where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And that's that you can't take that stuff for granted. And that's huge. And, you know, credit you guys, I mean, the coaching staff, for finding guys that are capable of doing that and then instructing them, teaching them, developing them to do that. It's impressive to watch this team operate because, as we know, we played, sometimes things don't go the way you practiced all week. You know, I mean, they're pretty good too, and they make adjustments. You have to make adjustments to adjustments. And your guys do it like instantaneously, man. It's unreal.
I think we have great practice players. So what you all see on Sundays and Mondays and on game day, those guys do it over and over and over during practice. And practice is important. And when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, similar to when I was in Indy with Peyton, man, you know, he doesn't take a rep off. You know, I don't care if it's OTAs in May or, you know, you're preparing for the Super Bowl in January. He's the same. He demands excellence, greatness, detail, and he just makes everyone around him better. And so whenever we take the field, practice, those guys understand that there's a standard that we expect out of those guys, the standard that they hold for themselves, and they try to meet that standard every day in practice, and it just carries over to the game. Whereas when you get in the game, it's easy, you know, because they've done it so many times in practice. So great group of guys. That's why it's important if we can keep everyone together, then we don't have to start back at square one with guys. And so, you know, hopefully all the guys can come back and we can continue to build on what we've already established.
And Coach, finally, I mean, the way you handle business, the culture you build is unbelievable. I mean, every single football player that's playing at any level of football would love to have you as a football coach, because the way you build chemistry and the culture, all of it. I mean, seeing you guys like in the cafeteria, you guys will all be eating in the cafeteria, be talking about some things, maybe not football necessarily, about life, and then it'll get to football, you know, eventually. And it's a casual setting, but man, those guys, they are on you, man. I mean, they're listening, they're feeling everything, and you're getting great feedback from them. I mean, the give and take, that's what it's all about. And watching something like that as a former player, boy, I just like, these guys don't know how lucky they are. I shouldn't say that, because I think they do know how lucky they are, and I want to congratulate you. And the Bengals are so fortunate to have you on this staff, and you're going to be a head coach sooner than people realize. You're tracking it, Coach, and it's going to happen. And I just want to say thank you for what you do here for the Cincinnati Bengals organization, and you're the best, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's a blessing to be a part of the Cincinnati Bengals, to be a part of you know, the offense and the guys that I have. They blessed me as much as, you know, I probably blessed them, and you know, they're a pleasure to be around every day. You know, I don't think I've ever had a bad day coming into work, and those guys bring great energy, and it's about connection. And so, you know, even before they even get here as rookies, sitting down and again getting to know them and finding out what they want to accomplish. And they know that my goal, all I care about and all I really want is them to be as successful as they can be, both on and off the field. And if I can do that, then I've done my job. And a lot of that goes not only on the field, but also off the field, and making sure that they're, you know, they're in their right mind off the field. Everything's taken care of. They have peace off the field, because if everything's off the field is taken care of, then when they get on the field, they just go play and have fun. And so, you know, we have an open door policy, and we're close. The guys are close. You know, I can call them up. We can cry together, laugh together, pray together. It truly is like a family. And they know I got their back. They got my back, and we go to work and go out there and try to make plays and help Cincinnati win football games.
All I can say is, coaches, we know football is a small world, the game. Veteran free agents know the kind of man you are, and the kind of coach you are. Wide receivers, veteran free agent wide receivers would love to be a Cincinnati Bengal and in Troy Walters' meeting room, as would college draft picks and college free agents. So go find some, coach, if they fit, if it works out. I know it'll be a win-win for everybody because you'll be developing those guys.
Yep, I look forward to each offseason being able to keep who you have, but also add new talent, new guys, new relationships. It's always exciting, and I look forward to seeing what happens this offseason, and then getting back to work and trying to win that Super Bowl. That's the goal, and that's what we're all in it for. And I think we can get it done this year.
Coach, can't thank you enough for carving time. I know you're busy at the Combine. It's a full week, and we appreciate you giving us some of your time, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Anytime.
Alrighty. Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please do me a favor, subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.